is 9 a.m., so I'd like to call to order the January 3rd, 2023 City Council meeting. Please call the roll.
Garza.
Here.
Fast.
Here.
Richardson.
Here.
Pires de Carvalho.
Here.
Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This morning's prayer will be given by City Attorney Paul Brown. Thank you, Paul.
Please join me in prayer. Lord, we thank you. We thank you that we can come and hear, and we have the freedom to do so. Lord, we're thankful that you provide for our needs daily. Lord, we pray for our city and our citizens, and we pray for the governing body as they seek to do what's in the best interests of those citizens. Lord, thank you again. Thank you most of all for your son, Jesus. It's in his name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Next item, please.
Item 4, election of mayor.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain a motion for the nomination of mayor for 2023.
I nominate John Richardson for mayor of the city of Hutch.
Okay, we have a nomination. Is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, nomination and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Garza.
Yes.
Fast.
Yes.
Richardson.
Abstain.
Pires de Carvalho.
Yes. At this time, we'll go ahead and administer the oath of office for John. And I'm going to move right on over and give you the helm.
Don't drink my coffee.
If you'd please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, John Richardson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the State of
of the
Kansas,
State of Kansas,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
for the City of
for
Hutchinson,
the City of Hutchinson,
and faithfully perform the duties
and faithfully perform the duties
of mayor
of mayor
for the City of
for
Hutchinson.
the City of Hutchinson.
So help me God.
So help me God. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you. All right, next item, please.
Item 5, election of vice mayor.
All right. Do I have any nominations for vice mayor?
I nominate Greg Fast for vice mayor.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, would you please call roll?
Pires de Carvalho.
Yes.
Garza.
Yes.
Fast.
Abstain.
Richardson.
Yes. It's your turn.
All right.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Greg Fast,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
for the State of Kansas,
for the State of Kansas
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
for the City of
for
Hutchinson,
the City of Hutchinson,
and I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of Vice Mayor.
the duties of Vice Mayor.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You're-
Get a new seat.
I was going to say, are you okay where you are for now?
I'm fine. I think Linda will probably tell us where we need to be.
Yes.
You're fine.
All right. Next item, please.
Item 6, oral communications from the audience.
All right, this is the section of the meeting where we open up the podium for public comment, as long as it's not on the agenda, and it's limited to 5 minutes. If anyone has public comment, please come up and state your name and address.
Good morning, Michael Glenn, 67505. So with the Hutchinson Youth City Council, We were wondering if for our own executive sessions, we can use the council conference rooms in the back behind the chamber here. And if that would be all right with the regular city council, whether it be after our own meetings on the third Tuesdays of every month, or at a specific date that doesn't interfere with your own executive sessions back there.
I think we would need to defer to City Manager Francis about whether staff would be available to do that.
I would like to think that, yes, we would be able to accommodate that. Immediately after your scheduled meeting is probably the easiest.
Do you mind coming to the podium?
Sorry.
That'll be fine. I'm still feeling my way through this too, so.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah, right. So I would say, I'd say yes, we could accommodate that. My initial thought is probably immediately following your normally scheduled meetings is going to be the easiest just for our scheduling, so that we can know when to plan it. I would like to sit down with you and the council and talk through a few things. I did watch your meeting, so I applaud you guys for the start that you got. But I think if you and I could meet, or if I could meet with the entire council and your sponsors, that I think we could work through something.
We've got a lot going on the next couple of weeks, so let's put that on our list of things to try to organize for your group.
Okay.
Does that work for you? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, if not, we'll move on to the next item, please.
Item 7, consent agenda.
Any discussion for items on the consent agenda? If not, do I have a motion?
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Please call roll.
Pyros de Carvalho,
Yes.
Garza,
Yes.
Fast,
Yes.
Richardson.
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8A, consider amendment to 2023 IAFF Local 179 Memorandum of Understanding.
Good morning, council, and Happy New Year. You might recall that back in July of this year, we finalized our agreement with the IAFF, which included a 2% wage scale movement for the firefighter, fire driver job classification, which at that time aligned with what we were finding in the market data from our benchmark organizations. However, in late September, multiple agencies in our immediate region made major changes to their firefighter wage scales. Most significantly, Wichita, which increased their starting pay by 17%, and then also Sedgwick County, which increased their starting pay by 26.2%. And also, I would add that Wichita is adding dramatically to its firefighter headcount. I believe they're going to be adding about 100 positions over the next few years. With this major unforeseen shift in the market, staff conducted an impact analysis and determined that the bottom of the 2023 wage scale needed to be increased 14%, or from 1448 to 1651, to maintain our current position in the region. This analysis also revealed that 41 of our 58 firefighters, or 71%, would be below that 1651 pay rate, and approximately 44% of our firefighters were also kind of deemed to be a high-risk category in terms of geographic location of where they reside, meaning that they lived in Wichita or close to Wichita or Sedgwick County. And lastly, we looked at the length of service for this group, and the range of number of employees would cause a very severe compression situation, because it not only covered our new hires, but also people up to almost 10 years of service. So the city recommended a flat dollar wage adjustment based on length of service to help with that compression situation. The city's recommended plan was presented to the IAFF leadership back in late October, early December. We had additional discussions. And then on December 19th, we got word back from the IAFF that they had approved the city's recommended plan for addressing these issues. The specific modifications to the 2023 MOU are found in Article 13, base pay, and it upwardly adjusts the 2023 firefighter pay range by 11.8%, which is from 1477 to 1651, and would start at the beginning of the 2023 payroll year, which began on December 18th. The second addition was a new section, which is E, other adjustments to base pay, which provides additional base pay adjustments for those employees that have completed a minimum of 2 years of continuous service. And the fire captain will go up 0.343 cents per hour and is not tied to length of service. And the firefighter, fire driver will go up 0.686 per hour, which equates to $200 annualized per full year of service. And that will also go into effect the first of the payroll year. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
I just had one comment, and that's that I just really appreciate your attention to labor market trends and your acknowledgement of the need to remain competitive and reward our employees according to the great value they bring.
Yep.
And you've always been really dedicated to that, Tom. I know in the last meeting you were maybe raked over the coals a little bit, and I thought that was really unfair, and regret that I didn't speak up then to defend the work that you do. So you're very appreciated.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And as is our fire department and all of our labor groups. So
Yep.
thank you for looking out for our employees.
Absolutely. And Troy Mueller's here, as well as Chief Beer, and I know they greatly appreciated the council's flexibility to go back in recognition of, because as you guys know, it's always, we're doing the budget, and it's just, this year especially, it's been a moving target. And having that flexibility to come back and say, nope, we really do need to address this very severe situation, I think they greatly appreciate it, and I know the fire administration does too. So,
Great.
Tom, and I would echo what Jade said, and I also feel like, the wheels of government move so slow, but I feel like we are doing our very best to try to take care of our employees and trying to react quickly, which we did that, and I hope the employees see that.
very good.
Any other comments? No. All right, well, I would entertain a motion then.
I would move to approve amendment number 1 to contract number 2022 C68-2023 Memorandum of Understanding for International Association of Firefighters Local 179 and authorize the mayor to sign.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, please call roll.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Fast?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes. Next item, please.
Item 8B, consider 2023 residential street maintenance program.
Good morning, Council. Jeff Shank, Engineering. The residential street maintenance program maintains 182 of our 290 miles of paved streets in the city. The program is currently on an 8-year rotation that utilizes several different pavement methods to extend the life of the streets. The vast majority we use is chip seal. This year we'll be performing work in the second area. And we will also be performing work in the downtown area. This work will consist of street repairs, drainage repairs, crack sealing, a coat seal, striping, and then final cleanup. For this work, typically the first phase is the street department goes in and performs street repairs prior to contractors coming into town. This includes things like full depth street repairs, pothole repairs, milling out high areas, milling and patching street imperfections, and fixing trench settlements. The next thing is we go through and do drainage repairs. There is money allocated from the stormwater fee to perform drainage repairs. We hire a contractor to repair the curb and gutter that is holding water into the asphalt street. We cannot repair all of these areas every year, but we've been slowly working through repairing the worst every time we come back into an area. Crack sealing is definitely delivers the best bang for the buck. There are two things that damage the asphalt the most, and that is water and sunlight. Crack sealing helps protect the asphalt by helping keep the water out of the asphalt. This helps from erosion and the freeze-thaw damage. Then we have the chip seal, which is just pasting a coat of emulsified asphalt over the entire street and quickly covering it with aggregate and then rolling that all into place with a pneumatic roller. We also started using scrub seal, which is very similar. It is placing emulsified asphalt over the entire street, covering it with aggregate, quickly covering it with aggregate, and rolling it in with a pneumatic roller. The only difference is the distributor truck that's spraying the oil pulls a trailer behind it. That has a whole bunch of broom heads, like shop brooms, and it's weighted down and it helps force that oil down into the cracks. It actually has a rejuvenator and a mastic oil to help rejuvenate the oil and then try and rebond it together and build a new surface. And so Cape Seal-ish. The Cape Seal was invented in Cape Town, South Africa. It's a chip seal covered with a slurry seal. What I've done is created a little bit of a different thing, and like at a sports arena parking lot, we did a chip seal and then covered it with a mastic surface treatment. This year in the downtown area, we'll be doing a scrub seal and then covering it with that mastic surface treatment. So it'll end up very similar to the sports arena parking lot or the golf course parking lot. The project was approved in the budget, and staff recommends the council accept the 2023 residential street maintenance program.
All right. I have a question. Were we able to achieve all of the chip seal goals for 22? That
Yes.
we got all of it done?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. That's where we've went through, slowly been working. Actually, last year we were trying to go with a 7-year rotation, and we had to supplement it a little bit with reserve because we realized it was just slightly out of reach. So that's when we scaled it back to an 8-year.
Okay.
And the average life expectancy of a chip seal is 8 to 10 years. So depending on traffic.
Jeff, I don't know what your thoughts are. The unit block of East and West Avenue B, we've redone the curbs there, and we still have brick streets there that are undulated. I've been told that mill and overlay, that brick works well for the base. I don't know if we could somehow work that into that. I know that's not a part of this, but I think it's something we need to talk about. We've got a building there that's well over, somebody's invested well over $1 million in. We've got a restaurant there that's busy every single day of the week, that's been there since the 1960s. I feel like that's a piece of our downtown that, and furthermore, there's another investment down the block. I feel like we have some pretty good things going on, and we have those two sections which are really rough. I mean, even on my way here, you come down B Street and it's like, I don't know what the solution is. That's my solution. I'm not a traffic engineer, so I don't.
Yeah, Jeff, for the public's knowledge, do you mind reviewing the analysis that goes into determining the condition of the pavement and how we select certain streets for our program each year?
Sure. So there's a couple different things with those two questions. So our pavement maintenance program is determined. We hire a private consultant. This year it's IMS. They'll be beginning here in the next couple months. They drive all of the streets, monitor all of the cracking, undulation, whatever. Check this for smoothness. There's a whole bunch of factors that weigh into it. And they have a big machine that forces down and measures the base of the road and make sure that it's in good condition. And then they go through and rate all of our streets. This will be the third time that they've went through and done this for us. So you can actually watch for trends, maybe seeing streets fall off faster than others. Then they make a 5-year recommendation for the next 5 years. And then you take and look at all of their information. And then taking that with the street department makes recommendations when they start seeing a street unraveling abnormally fast. And, then you take that and kind of use it as a living document, but then use that to assign out. The residentials is just on the 8-year rotation. So every section is going to be done every 8 years. Then moving into the Avenue B, we can look at doing different things in that area. I mean, there's a couple different treatments. I've been talking with some other people. Salina has been trying some stuff, and I've been wanting to reach out with them and go over some of their brick treatments as well. We have done asphalt cover in brick. That's one thing that we have on the Washington Street, the Bicycle Boulevard, is going to be those 2 blocks of brick will be covered in asphalt. And they introduced a new tie-in plan actually on side streets to help make it more homogeneous or an easier transition. And definitely be willing to look at that if that's something that the council would be interested in us pursuing. It wouldn't be something that you would put into the chip seal program, but you would add something like that into a different type of asphalt project where you would be having hot mix asphalt come into town if it was with asphalt.
I would defer to, I just feel like we've spent some money on the curbing there. We fixed the drainage, but we still drive down the street and do this.
Yes, there's been quite a bit of work in the area. There's the building owner, there's across the street, the tech has spent a bit of money. We've spent money on curb. They've done, matching by doing those sidewalks and all of the other upgrades in the area to help basically be a teamwork thing. So, yeah.
It's just a thought. Just something that's bothered me for years.
I think it's really important to bring up because it's looking at other brick streets in our community. We need to have an overarching strategy as to whether we want to maintain that aesthetic, which is quite costly, or whether we want to move to something more low-cost maintenance that might take away from, the historic look of those particular neighborhoods.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
It's a larger conversation.
And former council member Bagwell, she made the point that, these brick streets have lasted 100 years. Mm-hmm. And so I think that needs to be a part of this thought process, but it just seems like they're really expensive and hard to fix. And will they stay? Do we have the people that are willing to do the work properly? I mean, it's
not a lot of masons out there anymore.
Yeah.
But as we redo the that intersection with the bridges, that was part of the conversation, the improvement of those particular streets. Mm-hmm. So we need to get our act in gear as far as a strategy, even if it's not included in this.
Certainly. Certainly. I just wanted to start the conversation or continue it.
Sure. And we did add, I will say, adding on to Bagwell's looking at the brick streets, we have added into the assessment that IMS is doing. They're also going to be doing an assessment of all of our brick streets and recommendations of where, if we could come up with a program, where we should start and where we should finish. And so we can come up with some kind of budgetary numbers to try and figure out a plan. And then, of course, we're hoping to have that all ready so we can present it in the 2024 budget conversation. Great. Because that would be an entirely new maintenance cost that would be on top of what we're already needing to maintain our existing streets.
Yeah. Jeff, I would say the only other question I had about this particular agenda item is a short review of the chip seal. Every time we begin our chip seal program, we get calls that there are, kind of like rocks in the gutters, and the curing process is a little bit different with this material. And if you could just kind of review that for the public, I think that might be helpful.
Certainly. So the chip seal is very much different. And a lot of people take and read it and think, hey, okay, I need to pull my car out for the day, and then they're going to put down the rock and I'm done. And so we spend a lot of time, we have to tow vehicles around the corners typically that are stalled out or dead. And so we can chip, and then we have to tow them back so we can chip the other street. And then you get to where, but then everybody comes back and starts parking on the rock when they see it done and don't realize there's at least one, if not two, sweeping processes that come after that. And that's what picks up all of that rock and extra debris and really cleans up the street. So if everybody parks on the street, then we can't afford to tow all of those vehicles out and then back. Plus it'll damage the brand new mat. So it's best if everybody can stay in their driveways or on a side street or in an alley, and then until they see the sweeping process come through, because that does pick up the vast majority of the aggregate. There's always a little bit that's going to come out. I mean, and that's just one that the community plays, that's just it's a side effect. I mean, but keeping the vehicles off until you see it swept up will greatly reduce the amount of chips in the area. The areas that don't have vehicles that park on the car, typically we don't get complaints from, just because nobody pulls out after it's by, and so therefore the road can get swept as many times as we have inspectors that go out and drive the roads, every single road after it's done, to make sure that it is adequately swept, and if it's not, then they send the broom back as many times as needed.
And there's a communication process that goes out before you do each street.
Yes, and so they put out a flyer that typically has a date range and says, from this date to this date, please stay off the road while we do the chip seal and then sweep. Most people will see the chip and then pull out, but it's really good to just follow whatever the time is on, the recommended time on the hand flyers that they hand out and put on all the doors and in the not in mailboxes anymore, put on doors, so that way they can get the best end product.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for clarifying that, and I'm sure there'll still be questions because it's just a different type of.
I got another question for you.
Yes, sir.
Those pickups that have the sensors on the front of them, they're measuring the sub base. Am I right? They're shooting down and measuring their sub base.
They're measuring those. They have lasers, and as they're driving, they're measuring the widths and depths of all the cracks in the street. And then there's a little trailer behind it that has a weight that's dropping, and it's measuring the deflection of the trailer that's being pulled behind it.
Is that what's measuring the sub base of the
Yes.
street?
Yep.
Well, don't you think, in my point of view, when the bricks go down like this and we're going like a railroad, we're losing our sub base? Don't you think we have a problem with the sub base?
There could be, and we can't measure the sub base on brick streets. So that's one test. That all they can do is measure the rideability, because you can't measure cracks. They're bricks. There's gaps. So they're going to measure rideability, and then of course with bricks, being as it's a concrete base under the bricks on most situations. You can, if you just to see a road that is absolutely the worst rideability, you can probably guarantee that also has the worst base out of all of the other ones.
Well, I would think on brick streets, because I live in this area of town, we're going like this. I would say we have a sub base problem. Where we got a dip, let's pull the bricks up, fix the sub base. B and Main has a big problem on their base. So I'm just asking, because a lot of our brick streets, it's a roller coaster, and to me, that's a sub-base problem. That's what's under it is failing. So I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. I mean, if we could just fix the holes in the bricks going like this, pull it up, fix the base, I think that'll help people down here in our south end of town. I mean, they're like this. So that's the question. So.
Right, and that's when we've never actually done an assessment of the brick streets to say, hey, how bad are they really? Or is there certain areas? Is it an overall brick street problem? And so that's what, once we get this assessment back next August, is when we should be returning it. We'll have our first ever full assessment of all the brick streets with the professionals monitoring it and giving us a recommendation. And then I would be able to respond more. But yes, I mean, if there's a big dip, one way that it can be repaired is pulling it all up. Again, that gets really pricey, and without a maintenance kind of a budget for brick streets, it makes it really difficult to find money to do those repairs.
We're going to have some discussions on how we want to handle maintenance and the future of our brick streets here in town.
Well, that's the biggest complaint I get on this side is that, and I know it is because I run the streets all the time. So on my side of town, but anyway, that's just, we have to talk about it. Okay. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? All right. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the 2023 residential street maintenance program.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, please call roll.
Iris de Carvalho?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Fast?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Next item, please.
Item 8C, discuss appointment procedure for vacant city council position.
Who's taking this one?
Well, I can maybe start out, and if somebody has any questions, maybe we can answer it. But what we've been asked to do, and I think what we've talked about at the last meeting, is developing an application that could be posted online, and that today you would announce that process, the process you would like to follow. But I think the process that was talked about last time was developing the application, making it available, making it due so that you could consider applicants by the the next meeting, which would be January 17th. And if you would stay on that schedule, probably the applications would need to be turned into City Hall by the 11th, January 11th, so that they could be posted in the agenda, which would go out on the 12th. And so if that's a schedule that you want to stay on, that would be probably what you would need to do. I guess the question would be, are there anything changes to the application that you would like to see, or is that an acceptable application?
I didn't see anything of note as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we post that today, then, assuming that's the direction you want to go, would it be okay to have that application due then on January 11th, by the end of the day on January 11th? So then Linda would have that available to send to you in probably a PDF format, so you could review that ahead of the meeting and be prepared to discuss that at the January 17th meeting.
That's how I would like to do it. I'd like to get this going as quickly as possible,
Okay.
personally. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I agree, but I would like to discuss the bigger picture, maybe going forward on what is our policy on this? Is this going to be our policy in the future? Could maybe city staff advise if this is the best way to do it? I mean, it's been done 2 other times that we were made aware of, and we just basically picked who we thought. I mean, and I guess we're kind of doing the same thing, you know, based on the people that take the time to apply. So I don't know if we need a policy, so when this happens again, you know, that we know the best route to go.
It is one of those situations that, in my experience working with other governing bodies, they do it differently, and perhaps differently at different times depending upon the circumstances. You could create a policy now, however, down the road in you know, another 10 years or whenever this might, it doesn't come up very often. The council at that time may want to go a different direction. So usually it's determined what you think is the fairest way of trying to fill that position.
If we're not creating a policy, we're at least setting a precedent that someone else can use and say, here's where they messed up compared to how we're going to do it. Maybe I'm being negative. Here's where they did something right, and here's what we want to emulate. But in our situation, we have a full year. We may look at it differently if we had 1 month or 2 months to fill.
Or 3 years.
Or 3 years
Correct.
to fill.
Certainly, and I think the way we're doing it is going to be very inclusive, and it's going to, you know, if somebody's interested enough in the job that needs filled, they're going to take the time to fill this out. So, I mean, I like the process. I just wonder in the future if it happens.
The thing about the process that is, it's understandable why it is this way, but there could be some unfortunate consequences, not necessarily consequences, but part of the process is we are going to discuss every applicant in a public forum and why we think that they are or not fit for the position. And that any applicant needs to be aware that that is part of the process.
Which is a heck of a lot easier than going through a campaign process. And
That's correct.
I am curious, though. My only question about it is, what is our outreach plan to make sure that the greatest number of people are aware of this opportunity? I know we announced it last meeting, so that has helped. I've had a lot of people reach out to me.
I've had a few people reach out to me, you know, let me know when the application process comes up. People that are interested in city government are going to be following city government to begin with. So I think they're going to be more proactive individuals in our community. But yes.
Council members, I was going to let you know that I did talk with Dave Sotelo, and we're going to try to use a process like we do with some of our boards and committees, some of that outreach, so that we can try to get this out to as many local groups to make them aware opportunity and try to help answer some questions and things like that. So we are going to try to do quite a bit of outreach to let people know.
And I would encourage anyone that's interested to talk to current or former city council members to get a good idea of the,
Time commitment.
yes, time commitment and responsibilities, so. Please come up and tell us what you're talking about.
Rebecca Starkey-Kiesling, Director of Public Information and Community Engagement. So I have a half-drafted press release on my desktop right now, waiting for the details to fill in, so that will go out today. I'm fairly confident it will be covered by all local media. The resignation was, and so I have a feeling that will be covered well. We'll post it on Facebook and LinkedIn, the usual places as well, and I feel like there's already a lot of word of mouth. We're getting a lot of people reaching out, wanting to know what that process looks like. And I feel like while we want to have a diverse pool of applicants, at the same time, like you mentioned, people who are following city council and kind of already know it's a steep learning curve coming in for 1 year. So it'll be good if they already have an idea of what's going on. If you guys have any more ideas of how you'd like that outreach to go, I can add to it, but that's the plan at this point.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate your efforts and would echo the need to continue what we've started doing with our commissions, reaching out to groups that have maybe not been included in outreach efforts in the past. So,
I thought this was probably my time to interject a little bit. And I visited with Gary before the meeting. I did have one concern about the application. There's a question that asks if you rent or own a residence. Personally, I would recommend that you remove that question. It doesn't really pertain to the ability to serve as a city council member. But if it's on the application, then there is the perception that it plays into your decision. And I think we do want to be as inclusive as we possibly can be, and we don't want to put stumbling blocks in there that someone may feel inadequate. Well, I don't own a home here, but I do reside here. That was just one small note. As far as the publication and getting the word out, I think we will make certain that we adequately cover that. I actually have to be on the radio tomorrow morning, so there'll be an opportunity for me to put that out there. For Sarah's position, as it is at large, I think that's a little easier. If we were talking about one of the targeted districts, then that, we may have to rethink about how we make certain that certain sections understand that they have an opening in a defined geographical location. And so we'll look through that as well, for future.
Okay. I agree with making that adjustment on the rent or own. That shouldn't be a part of the decision.
Yeah.
I know Rebecca can make that change usually, but I would recommend that.
Yeah, I like that suggestion. I think that's on there because we have a question about whether you're up to date on property taxes, because those who aren't, if they are owners, aren't supposed to be serving. But that can be a question regardless of whether your status is renter or owner. So
I agree with that. Any other comments on that? Do you have any other follow-up on that?
I don't believe I do. I mean, I think it's a good suggestion, and we can make that change, and if you're okay. And I do agree, if this was a 1-month appointment, you might want to do it differently, but since it is a year, that's quite a while, so I think this is a good process.
I also did want to mention that if somebody applies who's interested in serving another term, those elections are in November. And so just be aware of that. But you would serve until the first meeting in January. So we did plan on making the recommendation on the 17th, and the person would be installed the first meeting in February. Is that correct, Mayor?
That's how I interpreted it.
Yes, they would be sworn in, I believe, on the first meeting of February.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, before we move on from this, as City Manager just mentioned, the process would be a little bit different if there was a district opening versus an at-large. And I know this is the most unfortunate timing, but I will no longer have a residence in Hutchinson after the end of the month. So I will need to resign my council seat as well as of January 31st. For the past 7 months, I have spent up to 3 weeks away from, 3 days a week away from my 5-year-old daughter and husband of 12 years so that I could work in Topeka. And our family has made a decision to relocate closer to my job so that we can be together. So, trying not to get emotional, this was a heart-wrenching decision because serving on council has been one of the greatest honors of my life. And the trust my hometown has put into me is something I do not take lightly. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to give back to the community that has given me so much. But I do plan to stay on for the next meeting and through the end of the month to wrap up and transition some projects and contacts to John and Kendall. But unfortunately, I will not be available to attend the swearing in of new council members in February. Again, I know this is unexpected. You were supposed to make sure I didn't cry, John.
I didn't have that on my agenda.
You
I'm
should
sorry.
have pinched me or something. So I know this is unexpected and inconvenient, and I'm terribly sorry, but I wanted to make the community aware of this now so that we can intake applications for both the Northeast District position and the at-large position at the same time. So I'll stop talking now since I did not succeed in my not bawling. Okay, I'm good. Next item, please.
No, that brings up a different sort of problem.
You're not resigning too, are you?
Oh, please don't.
Not right now, anyway.
Steve, you better not.
No. So on her position, are we going to have to get somebody from her district?
Yes.
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 So, yeah.
So that raises another question. I'm going to move on to business stuff.
Yeah, I'm done now. I'm over
Okay.
it. Yeah.
All right. So are you going to be able to update your draft to show that we have 2 positions? Do we need to push back one more meeting since we have two positions to fill to give more time for applicants? Or are we still comfortable with the January 11th due date?
I would suggest that you stay with the January 11th due date, and then we make sure that people understand there are 2 separate applications. And because one is at large, I guess they could apply for both.
They're both 1 year.
They're both 1 year, but one's at large and one's specific. So I think if, they need to let us know what they're applying for. We'll have to make some indication on that.
And if somebody is applying with the idea that they want to run for elected office in the future, they need to recognize that a district term is 4 years versus at large. So that might factor into which they apply for if they're in the Northeast District.
Okay, so just to clarify, we do want to specify to let them choose and not just default if they're in the Northeast District that they're going for the Northeast District position.
I would, if someone's in the Northeast District, they need to clarify which position they're applying for.
Okay, so I will add a drop down on that form saying which district, and we will just have to trust that they understand where those districts are. I'll publish the map with it.
Yes.
That would
So
be
that they
great.
can double check. So we'll want to double check all of those when we get the addresses in before you make any actual appointments. But those are simple changes to make. It just might not be noon. It might be closer to 2 before all that goes out.
Okay.
I understand.
So I appreciate your flexibility.
No problem.
Sorry for the curveball.
And we'll miss you.
Well, I will miss you guys. I didn't expect to find a house this quickly. So,
And to clarify, that also will be an elected position in November.
Correct.
Your position is. Okay.
Steve, Sarah, and my position are all up in November. So,
All right. Any other questions on this item? All right, we'll move on to the next item, please.
Item 9, report of city officials.
Jade, do you have anything else to add?
well, yeah, now that I'm done bawling, I just want to express my sincere gratitude to Gary Meager for riding the ship and working much longer than we originally discussed when you agreed to serve as interim. And you've done such an extraordinary job and have been amazing coming out of retirement to help us. I hope we can find a way to celebrate you in the coming weeks and allow the public an opportunity to thank you more, in person. Just thank you for all that you have done for us.
Well, thank you. It's been my pleasure. It really has. And, this is my last meeting with you, so I'll have a couple of comments later on. But thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Fast.
I would, again, echo what Jade says. She's such a good speaker, and I appreciate what you've done for me personally. And when women cry, I cry. So, I just appreciate your friendship. Never thought, you and I would be friends or whatever. I apologize 6 years ago or 7 years ago when I called you, and I didn't yell and scream, but you understood where I was coming from.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking me under your wing and answering those questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, for your friendship.
And Gary, thank you for being my friend and trying to help me understand my role in this position. I hope I'm getting it. I appreciate your patience and thank you for your mentorship.
Well, thank you very much. You all have a very difficult job, and I don't think a lot of people realize how difficult it is. I've worked with a lot of governing bodies over the years, and you guys do an amazing job, and so I think it's that's good for the city because we've got a lot of good people that are dedicated to trying to make the city better, and so certainly appreciate your comments and appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Well, and I appreciate you saying that because that's all I want. I may get it right, I might get it wrong, but I understand my role in wanting to make the city better, and thank you for stepping in.
Sure.
I can't say it better than Jade did, but you're a godsend.
Thank you.
Mr. Garza?
Oh, boy. Jade, you were there when I first started. I was not a politician, you know what I mean? And you helped me go through it. I really appreciate it. I appreciate what you did and appreciate helping me. God knows I need a lot of help. So, so I really appreciate it. And I wish you good luck when you go up the ladder or if you go, whatever. You'll do fine anywhere you go. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate your friendship and your service.
And Gary, the same way. Me and you talked a lot in the office and helped me. This is my third year in. I've learned a lot more. I've learned a lot, and it's not easy. It's not easy to sit up here and make decisions. So I wish you all the luck and thank you for your service.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Getting to the other side of being a council member, city council, a youth council. Our president's sitting right here. He does a great job. The people we have on youth council are doing a great job. You're going to be really, really impressed with our youth council. We had a meeting just last week, executive meeting. Can't tell you what's all in there, but they did a fine job in this session county. And so I hope somebody wants to serve their community. It's a good job. It's a fun job. Sometimes it can be a lot of headaches, but we got to change City of Hutchinson. We got to get good people on ours. Up here, we have good people, as you can see. One's leaving. One left last week. I hope that's not a trend. But we need to get good people on the council that have open minds, that have fairness in their head, in their mind. We got to be fair to all our citizens. So it's not an easy job. I'll tell you, sometimes I lay awake thinking about things, but it's not about me, it's about the citizens. So keep that in mind if you want to run for city council. It's about the citizens, it's not about us. Sometimes you might think it's about us, but it's not about us. It's a big job. So other than that, I wish you well. And that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. There's a lot of appreciation being thrown around up here today. I want to make sure that sometime in the next month or so, we set aside time in one of our meetings to recognize Ms. Bagwell, Ms. Pyros de Cavallo, and Mr. Meager for their time serving with and for and on the city council. I really appreciate you all. I want to make sure that Sarah's included in that as well. I appreciate your confidence in me sitting in the middle chair. I can't tell if I should be honored or if you're setting me up for something, but for now I'll be honored. And I look forward to 2023 with this group and whoever we end up having join us. And with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Meager.
Okay. Well, thank you. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve as the interim city manager. It's truly been an honor, it's really been a privilege to work with city staff. They're amazing. They're an amazing group of dedicated public servants that, and I really appreciate all that they do. You know, again, I've worked in city government for a long time, and I've had a chance to see governing bodies and staff, and this is some of the best. I mean, really, it is. And so I appreciate, it's been a pleasure to be here. I was really honored when Jade called me up and asked me if I would do it. It was, I'm glad I did it. So thank you so much. And thank you to the staff for all the work. They have just been a great group of people to work with.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I would make that motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
All right.
Pyrus de Carvalho?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Fast?
Yes.
Richardson?
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Less than an hour. We should have had you, man, a long time ago.